Good evening, beautiful people. Today is day 13th of the 30-day challenge. I am a mess today. So, I have picked quite the topic to talk about today. So, as I said about in my description, it's absolutely simple, yet very dense, because we all have our points of view on enough, being enough. But I figured I'd give it a shot because it's the one program that we all have. Every single client I've worked with one-on-one has this issue. And of course, I have this issue. We all do, right? And as we grow up, it can become entrenched in us. And then we always feel like something's wrong with us because we're never enough. One of the places where I see it a lot and somebody just brought it up to my attention today, when I was teaching Spanish, I had really sweet heritage speakers of Spanish. A heritage speaker is a Latin American kid, Hispanic, because Latin American implies that it includes Brazil, so Portuguese and all that stuff. So really Hispanic students. We, of course, in the States, we call it Latina, Latino, Latinx now. But there were a couple of things that had happened. So they were children of parents whose parents did not allow Spanish in the household because they were afraid that their children would be bullied. So I would teach the children, so the grandchildren basically. They would be Hernandez and Rodriguez. I mean, the very Hispanic last name, but none of them grew up speaking Spanish. Yet they have a very strong attachment to the culture. Then there's the the second main group that I would see was parents would move into the United States, and then they just wouldn't speak in Spanish to the children, and then the kids never learned it. They could understand a lot of the Spanish, but they never learned it. Unfortunately, in both groups, the kids were surrounded by parents, grandparents, cousins, uncles, because most of the families would have some that would speak Spanish and some that wouldn't. So the family reunions were interesting because the grandparents would come in and all the cousins that spoke Spanish would see the kids that didn't speak Spanish, and they would give them flack for that. And it's, of course, it feels very light and all, because it's like, no hablas español. Qué pena, and then they always hear that every time you hear them when they go back home or they're in a family reunion. It's like, here comes grandma and grandpa to give me flack for not speaking Spanish. And it's not their fault, which is a shame, because then they'd be in my class and they would be next to a non-Hispanic Caucasian student who spoke better Spanish than they did. And I could see they would get even more upset, because it's like, I am supposed to speak Spanish because that's my heritage. And they speak it better than me. So how am I ever going to learn Spanish? So all of these little blocks, unfortunately, are keeping this one kid who wants to be part of his own heritage. He wants to connect. She wants to connect. But she feels like she can't because she's stuck being seen as the kid that can't speak Spanish in the Hispanic family. And I remember having them, and the first thing I would say, because they would be struggling in my Spanish class, I'm like, let's come sit down and come talk to me. Let's figure out something so we can help you with your class. And then lo and behold, I would hear the story. And I was like, I understand. You're not the only one. So when you're learning Spanish with me, we're going to have to let go of all of that, all of the points of view from everybody else that everybody else has put on you, and just take Spanish as something new for you, starting from the basics and letting go of the fact that you need to know anything. It's just, you're here to learn Spanish. So let's practice it like a skill, because a lot of people think that it's like, I'll just do Rosetta Stone and Duolingo, and yeah, Google Translate works. Guys, language is nuance filled, and it's completely, whew, I could go on and on about language. That doesn't cut it. What you're looking for is a connection with that other human being. And if you're being lost in translation, I mean, it can be a lot of fun, that too. I shouldn't judge that either, but um, it makes it a little harder. So back to the not being enough, I would make sure that the my heritage speakers took the time to really check in with themselves and make it an effort to let go of that. The ones that were able to let it go, obviously I couldn't do the practice for them. They had to do that. I just taught them Spanish, and they had to come and meet me halfway. Like with anything, every time you're in a class doing anything, your teacher will give you a set amount of information in the way that they provide the information. Yes, not all teachers are made the same, and that's okay. You have to meet them halfway, and you're the one that's learning it. The teacher already knows it. So it behooves you to find out what's keeping you from learning. And what I noticed with these kids was they didn't feel enough. They weren't enough for their families, because they not being able to speak Spanish meant that they weren't complete to be part of the family. Of course, we never said that to them, but it was one of those things where I could see that. So I would try to find ways to help them overcome that. And then there's the not enough as a parent. And that's the new, you juggle everything. And when you're especially when you're in the overwhelm, it's never enough. Like, you are definitely never enough. And especially when you have special needs, when it's I need, and you've done all you can. You are exhausted and you have nothing left. This is where I say the blessings of you have to raise children with a village. If you don't have a village, make one, find one, make the support happen, do what you can, but then accept the help. If someone is kicking you out of the house to have an afternoon, go. The kids will be fine. But I just remember feeling that pressure of I'm not enough. I'm not enough. I'm not enough as a wife. I'm not enough as a mother. I'm not enough as a teacher. I'm not enough. And it's funny because people think, oh, you look like you got it all put together. No, we all go through this. We all go through that version of us that, there are, excuse me, peaks and valleys. I got an itch in my throat. Sometimes I'm able to shift the energy from not enough by redirecting what I'm thinking about. And sometimes I just have to kind of delve in it and be like, I'm going to just cry this one out and I'll come back in after it's over. And I give myself more love regardless of whether I've chosen to continue or chosen to give myself a break. Oh my gosh, and this is just the topic I picked for today, but it felt like one of those that everybody needs to remember that they are enough. So I remember trying this exercise her name is Marissa Peer. She does her own hypnotherapy, and it's basically like what I do, helping people access their subconscious level of themselves to release that program of I am not enough and replace it with the program of I am enough. And she had this exercise that I loved, and I did it for about 2 weeks. I wrote I am enough in lipstick on my bathroom mirror. So every time I passed by the bathroom mirror, I am enough was sitting right there. And it did help immensely. It just kept reminding me, I am enough, I am enough. And all of a sudden, all the body issues, image issues, because the thing about being a perfectionist, it's very hard to let things go. So you have to find ways to counteract that. And that's where I really enjoyed that, writing in lipstick on the bathroom mirror, I am enough. And then, of course, doing all the reprogramming of a feeling that just basically realizing that every single day is a gift and that all you had to do was be born. That's actually from Neil Donald Walsh. He wrote a book with Conversations with God, I believe. And he said that God told him that he did everything he needed to do the day he was born. That's all he needed to do, accomplishment wise, as a human being, as a soul in a human being, body embodied. Just be born. That's it. Imagine how much stress would be relieved from each and every one of us if we could understand that in our hearts. So this is a thing that I try to help people with also, is to try not to do too much logic, because it's about knowing. If you're trying to go through the logic process and you don't address your heart, it's a very tall mountain to climb. It's very difficult. When you go in through your heart, it's actually super easy, because then you see the beauty that you are, your soul, your spirit. You just are light. And when you know that at the deepest core of who you are, being enough takes a huge back. It just goes away, really. So it was at the beginning that I would have the I'm not enough thing. And then the more I stepped into the process of walking the talk and meditating every day, twice a day, praying, I'm praying all the time. I'm honestly in conversation with God all the time. And that's why I feel the way I do, and I'm able to deal with what I deal with. And as soon as I feel like I'm not in alignment with that source energy. So if the word God doesn't jive with you, just the highest. But that's what I'm in conversation with. And I think the more of us that get into that alignment, the more of us will notice how easier life gets. And then being enough is not even an issue anymore. You know you're enough, and nothing can stop you, right? Because there's nothing to stop you except yourself. So you have to know it at your core. And what's really fun, then you become more playful. I took up ukulele and piano, and I was practicing just now, trying to do a collaboration with some other ukulele players. And oh my gosh, I think I did 20 takes, because my perfectionist was kicking in. And so I stopped, dropped, and breathed, and I was able to do it again, and it was okay. And I was also okay with it not being perfect. And it's okay if I'm not okay with it being perfect. That's the level you want to get to, so that you can just move forward in joy. I hope this helps. May it be of service to y'all. I'm sending you guys so much love and light and blessings. And I will catch you in tomorrow's video for day 14. All right, guys. Good night.